Today I want to talk about Evan Stewart, who has committed to the University of Texas, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. We need to talk about Frisco Liberty wide receiver Evan Stewart, who announced his commitment to the University of Texas round about midnight, Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. I just happened to be up because, well, had a hard time sleeping, working on another project, because I'm always working on another project, and I looked up, and there goes Evan Stewart, top 40 recruit, decided that he was all in on Texas, and this was huge for Texas fans. Even the Texas fans that don't know why this is huge, I'm going to explain to you why this is huge. Evan Stewart is the wide receiver I thought was most crucial to Texas in this 2022 class because he's the guy that most resembles Jalen Waddle, came out of Episcopal Bel Air, and Garrett Wilson came out of Lake Travis. Now, both of those dudes turned out to be pretty doggone good. I believe that Garrett Wilson is the more talented of the two top returners in Chris Olave and himself, and of course Jameson Williams taking that third spot, and then they got a really deep roster wide receiver at Ohio State. And then of course Jalen Waddle, who is perhaps the most talented wide receiver that Alabama has produced since Amari Cooper. Take into account Henry Ruggs and what he meant, I understand. Jerry Jeudy won a Biletnikoff Award. I get it. Devontae Smith won the Biletnikoff and the Heisman Trophy, and yet in the year that Devontae Smith won the Heisman Trophy, many of you will know, Jalen Waddle got hurt, missed about 80 days of football before trying to make a go of it in the national championship game after breaking that ankle in a kick return against Tennessee. If Jalen Waddle was healthy, he probably does what Devontae Smith does, and we have no way of knowing that he would have reached or exceeded those things, because another part of that is Devontae basically had like 1,800 yards if you extrapolate it out. Like, I want to make sure I get this right because I remember looking at this going, you got to be kidding me, because that man has the most receiving touchdowns of anybody in football, 46, right? Just stupid at 6'1", about $175. Yes, 117 catches, 1,856 yards in 13 games, and yet the more explosive player was Waddle. That's how I think of Evan Stewart, because if you'll watch film of him, you'll see a player who is lining up in the slot and taking bubble screens like Tyreek Hill to the house, like Jalen Waddle, like Devontae Smith, like Garrett Wilson can do and probably will be tasked with doing more of in 2021, if for no other reason but to give the new starting quarterback at Ohio State a little bit better opportunity to make some completions. What this means for Texas is you have now the fifth best class in the 2022 rankings, ranked number 5, and you got your 5-star quarterback, and you've got elite skill players. Go along with guys like Jaden Blue and Evan Stewart, Armani Winfield. He's going to have guys to throw the ball around to, and this 2022 class is already starting to look really great. Tremendous win for Andre Coleman, wide receivers coach at Texas, in picking up Evan Stewart. Now it's about holding on to him because, as I mentioned to you, the guys that I think he is most comparable to ended up going to Alabama and Ohio State, two programs that have made a habit of going into Texas to get recruits or to flip them late. Waddle waited until signing day, national signing day, February, before he finally made a decision, and he was the only guy in that class to decide to go anywhere other than Texas or Texas A&M inside the top 15, which is remarkable. Also add in here, Steve Sarkisian is obviously getting the message out and getting it out well, along with guys like Jeff Banks, of course, Andre Coleman. Stan Drayton continues to do a really good job. Kyle Flood, we know what it is with offensive linemen with him, and I think that's one of those places where they're going to have to focus a lot to get to the heights that Texas wants to get to, because the thing that is true about Texas, they're always going to believe they ought to be the best team in the country, regardless of how many times we show them the dysfunction that seems to go on around the administration filters down to the program, because Texas is always going to be talented. That is the reason we always talk about Texas. That is the reason why Texas is always in the discussion, just like Georgia. They're always going to have talent, and you can't count out people who have talent in college football, because we're really talking about unskilled labor. And if there's a bunch of unskilled labor, the more talented product is probably going to win. It's just the way that it is, right? Because even as bad as Texas has been, they ain't been bad. They just haven't been great. They haven't been good. They haven't won a conference championship. It's wild to think that Iowa State is closer to winning a Big 12 championship than Texas is, but that's also where we are, right? We're talking about Kansas State having Oklahoma's number, not Texas, right? Kansas State has beaten Oklahoma twice in the last 2 years, which is almost like Texas getting doubled up by Maryland. Yikes, that's where y'all at. But with this recruiting class, you're giving yourself an opportunity, at least early. Now, Alabama coming in here to try to take your goodies. Ask Oklahoma fans how that feels. Ohio State got Jeff Okudah, got J.K. Dobbins. And it won't just be them recruiting Evan Stewart. The early commitments always make people kind of skittish, because the earlier you commit, the more time there is for you to flip your commit. Jace McClellan was committed to Oklahoma for the better part of 2 years for flipping early signing period to Alabama. Okay? So if you are a Texas fan, yes, celebrate this, because the message is getting through. You're holding on to Evan Stewart, tremendous win for you, and he can make you good right away. Yeah, man. Deuces.